Welcome to this educational module. We would like to share some practical tips to help you move better.
If you're watching this video, either you or someone you know is having trouble with getting out of a chair. We're going to start off with having you participate, and what I want to do is compare using bad body mechanics to using good body mechanics right off the bat, so you can get a sense of what this whole video is going to be about. So first, what I want you to do, if you're seated, I want you to scoot back in your chair, slide your feet forward, and just lean back against the back of your chair. And this is just so you can see exactly what I want you to do. Your butt's back, your feet are forward, you're leaning back, and then now you're going to try and stand up. Okay, so now I want you to do is pause the video, and I want you to try that. And then when you're done, come on back. So you did it, but it was pretty difficult, wasn't it? So now we're going to try using proper body mechanics. And what you're going to do now is you're going to scoot to the front part of the seat. You're going to get your feet under your knees, and then you're going to lean forward. Lean far enough forward so that your shoulders are over your knees or over your feet, and then try and stand up. Put this on pause and then come on back. Okay, so you tried it. It was a lot easier, wasn't it? So let me just show you. This is what it should look like. It should look much smoother. So are you stronger? You're not stronger than you were a couple minutes ago. It's all about positioning and leverage. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is positioning and leverage. So with body mechanics, with getting out of a chair, there's three things to pay attention to. The first one, which is going to be the first step, is scooting to the front of the seat. There's different ways of doing that. Then there's getting your feet underneath you, and there's different things to think about with your feet. Then you're going to lean forward, and you're going to learn how far you need to lean forward and how important it is in order to stand all the way up. So let's get going. Let's start out with the scooting. Now there's three ways to scoot. There's the lift and scoot, there's the butt walk, and then there's the butt slide, and we're going to talk about each of them. We're going to start with the lift and scoot. And what you're going to do with the lift and scoot, you're going to have your hand back by your hip, where your hip is, and then you're going to push down so that you lift up your buttocks. Then once you're up there, then you're going to push with your hands to swing your buttocks forward. And then you're going to lower down in the front part of the seat. So what that does is, by lifting off of the seat and going forward, you have no friction between you and the chair. Now, if you can't lift that high, which you don't need to, you just need to lift high enough so you don't have as much friction. So to take some of your body weight off of the chair to help you scoot. So when you're scooting, there's a way of doing it, which I showed you in the picture, but this is a video of it. Hands by your hips, lift and scoot. Again, always hands by your hips, lift and scoot. We're going to do it one more time. Hands by your hips, lift and scoot. Hands by your hips, lift and scoot. There are a few occasions where hands by your hips doesn't work. But overall, the most common use is hands by your hips, where you would be successful. So in order to scoot, you need strong triceps. That's the muscle above your elbow, behind your arm there. And that's an important muscle to help lift your bottom up while you're pushing down. That's the muscle that's working. So if that muscle is weak, what you can do is chair push-ups. And this is what chair push-ups look like. You're sitting in the back of the chair, you push down, you go straight up. You have your feet underneath you so your legs can help. As you get stronger, you slide your feet forward and then you come up and down. Keep your butt in the back of along the back of the backrest, because that makes your arms work harder. Now, if you have a lighter chair, you may want to put the chair up against a wall so it doesn't tip back. For you who have bad arthritis in your shoulders and it's uncomfortable in your shoulders to do this exercise, don't do it. There's many ways to skin a cat to get that muscle stronger. Just refer to your physical therapist if you have a personal trainer. There's lots of options to strengthen different muscles. So hand positioning for scooting, if you make a fist and you keep your wrists straight, that in essence makes your arm longer by about 2 to 3 inches. And that's the amount of length that is really helpful in helping you scoot on a couch where the cushions sink in deep. You need that extra length to lift your buttocks and scoot. If you have your hand like this, it makes your arm shorter, you're sinking into the couch or the seat cushion, and then it's going to be more difficult to scoot. This is a little video as far as scooting using your fists, but I also want to draw your attention to, if you're sitting in the back of the couch, you have to scoot first in order to get your feet back. As you see, the bottom part of the couch is closed here, so you can't get your feet back even if you wanted to unless you scooted first. And that's why we have scooting first as the first item of your body mechanics to get out of a chair. Then finally, when you stand up, if you don't have armrests, put your hands on your thighs to use your thighs as your armrests to help you stand up. So this is just a video showing all this. Good. Try it, and you'll be surprised how your legs can be your new armrests. Now, if you're sitting at the end of the couch, you can use the armrest as you normally do, and then just make the fist on the other side to help you stand up. Another way of scooting is the butt walk, and that's simply leaning to one side and advancing your buttocks. So this is just a video showing. So you need to lean to one side to unweight that buttocks so you can slide it forward. On vinyl, you slide a lot easier. Even though the seat is fabric, it's firmer, so it's going to be easier to slide. And having the armrests, you can use your arms to help push yourself from side to side to unweight the buttocks, so that helps make it easier. Then there's the butt slide. It's pretty straightforward. You push back with your upper back against the chair and your butt slides forward. That's it. You're forward. Now, it doesn't work well on like couch cushions, soft, deep cushions, because when you do the butt slide, then your butt gets caught up in the cushion with the extra friction. So this might be not the best option to use on a couch. Let's say you're sitting on a seat without any armrests. The seat's kind of small and you need to scoot to get up. So you put one hand between your legs in the front of the seat and the other hand on the side of the seat. Now, sometimes this arm isn't long enough to help give you good leverage to scoot, and what you may need to do is put your hand on the back of the seat to help you scoot, with using also the hand in the front of the seat. Use them both at the same time. And then the question is, did you scoot far enough? How do you know if you scooted enough to get up? So these are two indicators that you may want to scoot a little bit further forward when you stand up. The first one is, this person can't scoot at all, so they do everything else. They get their feet back and they lean forward, and when they stand up, they can actually tip the chair back if it's light enough. So that's one indication that you didn't scoot enough. The other indication is that person scoots part way, and when you stand up, your knees stay bent because they're caught up in the chair. So when you stand up and your knees are bent, it just means that you need to scoot a little bit further forward next time so you clear the chair. So we're finally done with scooting, and the next step is getting your feet back, and there's some considerations with that as well. One of the considerations is simply having ankle flexibility to get your feet back. Most people do, and some people don't. But this is a very important piece to stay after, that you keep the flexibility in your ankles in order to get your feet back. In very severe cases, it makes it impossible for somebody to stand up just because of their lack of ankle flexibility. But those are more severe cases. But what you can do is stretch your ankles by just standing on a half foam roll, or you could simply use a 2x4. Cut a piece of 2x4 about 12 inches long, lay it with the flat side down, and then get your feet on there. And then you're, let's say, by a kitchen sink. If you want more of a stretch, you lean towards the kitchen sink. And if you want less of a stretch, you lean a little bit back. It shouldn't hurt, but doing it for a long period of time, for like 1 to 2 minutes, would be great to get a nice long stretch. The other part of foot positioning is how far apart should your feet be? And just a simple thing to do is when you're sitting, just put one of your shoes between your feet and then take it out and look as far as how far apart your feet are. And that's about right in terms of how far apart they should be. If your feet are close together when you stand up, you're going to be unsteady in different directions, in all directions, because you have a small base of support. So having your feet apart is really important for stability. For some people, they're inherently unsteady in the backward direction. They're losing their balance backward, and it's not necessarily related to their body mechanics. It's just they don't have good balance. And to help stabilize you, if you're one of those people, is having your feet uneven. So the one foot is further back, and that gives you a little bit more protection from losing your balance backwards. So what you do is you get both your feet back, and then you get the 1 foot further back. When you do that, you might feel or see that your heel is a little bit off the ground. Don't worry about that, because once you stand up, that heel's going to flatten out. Then when you stand up, this back foot may be catching on the chair. So that's just an indication either that, again, maybe you didn't scoot far enough forward, or the back foot is a little bit too far back, because sometimes people overcompensate with that. So here's an example when you're one of those people that needs to get 1 foot further back. You want to first scoot both your feet back and then scoot the last foot a little bit further back. So here's just how to do it. So first you're always going to scoot both feet back. Now you're going to take that other foot further back and then stand up. Now there's some people, when I tell them, okay, now you need to have your feet uneven when you stand up so you're more steady. And what they do is they take a step forward to make their feet uneven, but what that does is that disengages the forward foot at a disadvantage, and then it's harder to stand up because all the brunt of getting up is on the back foot. So just so you can see. So they just take a step forward. So technically the feet are uneven, but you're at a disadvantage because you took a step forward and disengaged that leg, making the other foot do all the work. The only exception to the rule that I've run across with altering the sequence of scooting forward first and then feet back are people that have really bad arthritis in both of their knees. And it's really hard for them to get their feet underneath them. So they're going to alter their sequence. They're first going to get their feet back, which typically isn't too far because it hurts your knees. And then once your feet are back, whatever you can do, plant your feet down so they don't move. Now you're going to scoot forward, and then that's typically a lot more comfortable. So try it that way and see if that works for you. We're finally on the third and last phase of getting up with the body mechanics, and that's leaning forward. It's the last step, but it's just as critical as all the others. When you get up, when you're leaning forward, you need to make sure that your shoulders are over your feet. And you've probably heard the expression, your nose over your toes. You probably hear that a lot. So it's very important to get your body weight over your feet, which is your base of support. If your body weight is behind your base of support, which are your feet, you're going to lose your balance backward. Some people try the rocking method to try and stand up, which is good, but you need to rock far enough forward to get your body weight over your feet to be successful. So here's a plumb line, this white line here, and this is your base of support, your feet. Now you need to get your shoulder, the middle of your shoulder, intersecting with this line in order to be successful with standing up. It can go past this line, but at least it needs to intersect this line in order for your body weight to be over your feet. So you can do everything right. You can have scooted, you got your feet back perfect, but if you don't lean forward far enough, it won't work. So this is a slow motion video so you can see getting up, the shoulders behind that white line. It's just not enough, and you're going to lose your balance backward. Okay, now the next video, it would be if you were using the rocking method but you didn't rock forward enough to get your body weight over your feet, and this is what happens. Close, but didn't quite make it. And the first rock that was underscaled should have been a lot further. So if you use the rocking method, make sure you rock far enough forward. And this last video shows that if you at least get to the white line or past it, you will be successful with standing up. A big difference. A lot of times people are scared of leaning too far forward because you may have the perception that you're going to fall forward. And typically it's more a matter of someone's perception than it is in actuality. So how do you measure how much you're leaning forward or how far you need to lean forward? How do you gauge that? Because it's difficult. Well, one way you can do that is by the pressure that you feel on the bottom of your feet. So this first picture here is when you're standing up and you feel that the pressure is mostly on your heels, you are not leaning forward enough. You're going to be falling back into that chair. But if you're standing up and you feel pressure both from the back to the front of your foot, that's equal pressure, then you're leaning forward enough and you will be successful. So just quickly putting it together, you're sitting in a chair, you can't get your legs back. What you need to do is first scoot so that you can get your feet back. And then you're going to be leaning forward so you get your shoulders over your feet. And then if you don't use armrests, then you're going to be using your legs as your armrests and get the pressure over your feet as you stand up. Next, we're going to talk about a few exercises to help you improve your ability to get out of a chair. It's a simple progression that you can try at home. So one of the exercises is simply practicing your body mechanics. You're going to scoot forward, position your feet back, lean forward, and stand up, and just repeatedly practice that. Sometimes doing that helps make it a little bit more automatic, and if it's a little bit more automatic, then you'll be more successful. Of the exercise progression, this one is the least difficult. And this is more for people that are having a lot of problems getting out of a chair. They're using a walker. Maybe the hand positioning of getting out of a chair or getting back into the chair isn't optimal, where there may be you're hanging onto the walker as you're sitting down, which isn't good. So this is a good teaching tool for hand positioning. And it's a good overall body workout in terms of using your legs and your arms. You can do like 10, 15 repetitions or until you're tired, take a break and then do some more. So you can work a little bit on your stamina. So you've got your seat elevated with the pillow. You've got the armrests. And you practice standing up and sitting down. And then as you get stronger, you get the pillow out. And here's just a video showing that. You're reaching back, standing up, one hand at a time, just depending on what your abilities are. Like that. Then some individuals can start with this one as part of the progression. If you're one of these individuals that have trouble leaning too far forward, this is a good one to help you lean forward a little bit more. You use the wall as a target to touch and make sure your chair is away from the wall so that you have room to reach for it. As you get stronger, you take the pillow out. So it's reaching forward, stand up straight each time. So this really helps strengthen your legs, which you really need strong legs to stand up from a chair. And then the last of the progression is you have your arms crossed. You start out with a pillow if you need it, and then you stand tall every time. And then you progress, you take the pillow away and you stand up and sit down with your arms crossed. In summary, you want to make sure that you use good body mechanics when you stand up and sit down to make it easier. As you've seen, there's 3 steps to the body mechanics. First scooting forward, then getting your feet back, and then leaning forward. In each of those areas, there's some variation in terms of tweaking it so it's more adapted to you specifically. Keeping your arms and legs strong and flexible are important to make it easier to get out of a chair. Thank you.